PS management and the Gauteng government are holding meetings after yesterday's attack on police in the Johannesburg CBD, as we just saw in that footage there. They've defended what they described as a tactical withdrawal by the police after an angry mob allegedly hurled bottles, bricks and petrol bombs at them. Violence broke out during a raid on illegal and counterfeit goods in Johannesburg. Police said they retreated to avoid having to use live ammunition. They blamed a mob of foreign nationals for the violence. Police and Gauteng Safety and Security MEC have condemned the incident. They both warned that Home Affairs and the Department of International Relations would be roped in to deal with the matter. Now for more on this troubling story and just to try and dig into what the source of these issues there are, I'm joined by urban planner and researcher Tanya Zack. Tanya, thank you so much for coming in. You've done quite a bit of research specifically into what's really a booming economy in the CBD of Johannesburg. Were you surprised by what you saw transpire in the city centre yesterday?
Thank you, Marcel. Yes, I have done research into this part of the CBD, which is the centre of our cross-border shopping in Johannesburg, and it is a massive, massive booming enterprise. I have to say I was not terribly surprised because this comes in a context of a history of many police raids over the last decade in the space, and it's a very tense space and a space in which there is a large amount of crime, and included in that is police crime in the space.
And that speaks to obviously there being an issue of trust, that if, like we're hearing the official word from the authorities being they went in there because counterfeit goods were being sold, and we just were trying to ensure that the law is upheld against the context of a breakdown of trust between people who are making their livings in the CBD and those who are supposed to be enforcing the law, would lead to them not taking kindly to the kind of police presence that we believe was there yesterday.
If we could talk to the living that's being made in that area. We did a study in 2017 where we counted 3,000 shops in a very small part of the CBD in 53 city blocks. That is a large number of shops. We interviewed 300 shoppers, 400 shoppers, 300 shopkeepers in that space. A lot of that shopping in that space is sub-Saharan Africa coming to Johannesburg to buy affordable clothing, affordable shoes, affordable homeware.
And they come and they buy it in bulk, don't they?
They buy it in bulk, and they're coming from Zambia, Zimbabwe, Mozambique and elsewhere into our CBD. This is Johannesburg being an international port for goods. It is a massive economy. And these are small traders. They're not backed by big pension funds. This is one trader at a time, transforming space and creating these small shops. Within that, there is a trade of low cost goods, and some people are selling counterfeit within that. A massive amount of the trade is not counterfeit at all. But there has been a breakdown in trust because the raids that have come under the guise of tackling counterfeit in that area have come with an enormous show of force, a disproportionate show of force, where I have personally witnessed, in one city block, 21 police vehicles, rubber bullets, tear gas, stun grenades in that space. Marcel, we're talking about a crime of selling T-shirts. To the extent that we're going after crime, is that the proportional show of force that one would use for that? And then shopkeepers are saying that in many cases those goods are not being taken to police stores. There's an allegation of there being a syndicate operating in this area where those goods are resold into the space. Now, if that is true, then to whose benefit is this massive amount of police resource that you and I are paying for that goes into the space? Who are we protecting? At best, we're protecting brand companies, global capital, and yes, that may be important, but are we doing it at the expense of small business? And worse than that, are we doing it at the expense of international shoppers coming to our country to spend money and to create an enormous add-on economy and jobs in a space where we sorely need jobs? And there are a lot of jobs to South Africans in the space. Yes, there's a lot of foreigners selling foreign goods to foreigners, But think of the accommodation, think of the food, think of the transport, think of the logistics that attends that. In addition to which, when we interviewed shopkeepers, each shop was creating on an average of 3 jobs, and one of those was to a South African. So we're talking about a disruption and a threat to a really important economy. Shoppers are telling us they're terrified to come to Johannesburg. They come for 2.5 days, get out of here as fast as possible. It means we're not getting the extra spend we could get from those shoppers.
So the irony there being there's this huge show of force at times for these raids that you speak of with a focus on counterfeit goods. But at the same time, law enforcement is not doing their basic job, which is ensuring that people who make their lives here in South Africa, whether they are South African or not, are not being kept safe from other crimes.
Exactly, and 60% of people in that space, of shopkeepers, told us they had been victims of violent crime in the area, 60%.
And the shoppers as
and
well.
30% of shoppers had been. And 38% of shopkeepers told us they regularly gifted police. This is corruption. Now, if we are going after counterfeit, and I'm not saying that we shouldn't, absolutely that we should, but where should we be going? That isn't the place that we're going to be stopping the counterfeit and benefiting from the taxes is to do that at the borders. Why are we going after the small shopkeepers on JP Street and not dealing with this at customs source?
Do you believe that there needs to be a more holistic approach from the city in that they should look to this booming economy that, according to your report, is worth billions of rand? Yeah, you said here, based on the interviews, we calculated that the annual profit takings in the city blocks we surveyed amounts to close to 7 billion rand profit every year. But this is likely to be a major underestimate. Is there a need for the city to approach this in a more holistic way so that they can be part of this booming economy, and in that way ensure that things are regulated better, and in that way ensuring we don't see what we saw in the CBD yesterday?
In these few city blocks, Marcel, cross-border shoppers alone are spending over 10 billion rand a year in this space. That is twice the annual turnover of Sandton City Shopping Centre. It is not to be sneezed at. What we need to do is we need to recognise this trade. We need to make it safe, to deal with the crime in the area. We need our police services to be dealing with the common crime, the robbery, the rape, the murder in that space that makes the area so incredibly unsafe. We need our city to come in with a plan that deals with safety in those buildings, that deals with making that public environment a place where you'd be rolling out the red carpet for your international visitors and investors in this area.
And not just down the road in the more trendy parts of the CBD where
Absolutely
they've decided all the hipsters and people who now want to live in flipped apartments can come and make their lives.
This is about people getting affordable goods. This is about goods coming into this country that are available to the poor in South Africa and in the surrounding countries. We are a port. We just need to recognise that. We have such enormous infrastructure in that area, and people are being very innovative in the way that they're creating shops, in the goods. They've changed how retail happens in the inner city of Johannesburg. We need to support that. We need to build that.
And indeed, if you look at the news that we received about our economy week in and week out, we cannot let any rand really go down the toilet and not see how it can be further developed and extended to a second, third and a fourth rand as well.
Definitely.
Thank you so much. We're going to leave it there. That is Tanya Zack. She is an urban planner and researcher, and she's done some fascinating research into this economy in the CBD, at the heart of that space where we saw those really violent pictures coming out of Johannesburg yesterday. Now,